Alright guys, so I don't know if you guys recall, but at the end of 2016, I did write a blog post called 2016 Highlights Part 1, Making Big Changes. And here's the exact blog post that I'm talking about, so feel free to take a look in your own time. But basically, this particular blog post talked about the various tools that I added to my trading arsenal that year. I added basically three things that really helped me, and these are three things that I previously didn't want to go with in the past because they costed extra money. And obviously, every single time you hear about something costing more money, you naturally get defensive. You naturally get skeptical about, why should I give my money to something additional that I may or may not need. So I decided to be open-minded and gave it a shot. And these three things were, of course, the Trade Ideas scanner, which I've talked about time and time again, how instrumental it is to have a scanner that has so many options and so many filters that you can use to help you find these nice plays, like off the gap scan and off the Momo scan, in comparison to using something that's just free and not live, and usually it's probably going to be a lot slower. So that's one of the tools that I added. The second tool was the new broker that I switched to, which was Centerpoint, which obviously has probably the best short lists out there. So if you're looking to short sell, especially those very tough, hard to borrow small cap stocks, and you don't want to be stuck only with the option to long them, you want to also be able to short them, take the other side of the trade. Definitely Centerpoint was that broker. And the third thing, and that's what the topic of this video is going to be about, is a live news feed. And of course, a lot of you might be like, oh, why do I need a news feed? I can just use Twitter. I could just search for it, Google it. Well, with the live news feed, obviously you're going to get things a lot quicker, a lot more organized, and you can definitely have, like the Trade Ideas scanner, you can have lots of options and filters to help you find an edge and then look for exactly what you need in the fastest time you need it. So again, I was a closed-minded guy at first, and I was very skeptical, and I didn't think that, why should I pay a couple bucks extra per month for these kind of things? But after using these things for now almost 2 years, I feel like it was well worth it, and especially if you're a full-time trader, and for tax purposes, you are declared as a trader. These are tax write-offs anyways, so I felt like with that, all of those things combined, and the fact that it was a tax write-off as well, I felt like it was definitely worth a shot, and it was a good value. So this news feed that I use, this news feed service that I use, is called Benzinga Pro, and I felt like they offered the best value for the best features that I needed to help me become a better trader. Now, I tried a couple of other news services, but Benzinga Pro definitely has the best value. They're the best priced, given the features that they have, and they definitely have everything I feel like I need to trade the markets. So what got me into Benzinga Pro was the fact that a good buddy of mine, Market Omega on Twitter, he told me about Benzinga Pro. He also told me about Trade Ideas as well, but he also told me about Benzinga Pro and how he was using them to trade, at the time, the Citron Research shorts. They'd be really, really quick at alerting Citron's short alerts, and he would get in and he would bank on them. And, before that, I didn't really have a source to quickly get on these alerts, and you'd have to pretty much be glued to your Twitter screen or something like that. And if you just weren't looking at the moment that it was alerted, you missed the alert, and that was it. With Benzinga Pro, they have this thing called the squawk feature, and it's really, really awesome. It's basically a guy that reads the news to you, and obviously if you're an active trader like me and you're always glued to level 2 and you're glued to the chart, you don't really have the time to glance at your news feed every single second. And literally, as we know, when we're trading, things can move, really, really, really fast, and if you just miss it by a split second, then you miss it. So with this new Benzinga Pro newsfeed feature that I have with their squawk feature, I was able to trade these Citron research alerts a lot more effectively. I would always pretty much never miss them, and it pretty much paid for the subscription after nailing a couple of those trades. So that was a huge selling point for me with sticking with Benzinga Pro. But I'm going to go ahead and talk to you guys about some of the other features, some of the more standard features, and then go ahead and talk about some of the more specific features that I use to help me trade with Benzinga Pro. And of course, at the end of this video, I'll tell you guys about the discount that you guys can use as part of following me, Madaz, and you guys can use it to get a discount on your subscription as well. And also, part of this video is going to be a live trading example. Of course, I would never make a video without a live trading example if I didn't have one with me. And fortunately, after hours today, Tesla reported earnings, and I'm going to demonstrate the squawk feature and how I was able to implement that in trading Tesla earnings after hours. So let's go ahead and talk about these more standard features. Let's just run through them really quick. So this is my workspace. You can edit these windows however you want. You can close them. You can add them. You have a news feed. So this is basically your news standard news feed. You can filter it out by keywords or ticker symbols. Pretty basic stuff. So if you want to look at news on just Tesla, type in Tesla and you'll see it. Pretty basic stuff. If you want to look at just earnings, you'll see some of the earnings news from the day, like SQ, Tesla, things of that nature. And if you want to look at calendar, which is pretty cool as well, it'll tell you a list of all the earnings. You can also look at analyst ratings, conference calls, economics, IPOs. Pretty standard stuff that you can, look up elsewhere as well. But it's nice that they have this all organized in one window for you. You can also filter out the news by various categories as well. As you can see, you can filter it by earnings. You can color code them as well. As you can see here, the Tesla earnings or any earnings related news is now color coded, as you can see here in the background. FDA approvals, IPOs, small cap stocks, which is a favorite of mine, is for a lot of you guys. You can filter that out as well. Pretty nice stuff. You can filter it out by sectors. You can build a watch list, and you can obviously check the sources as well. And you could, like I said, build your own watch list. There's a scanner as well. And one of the cool features with a news feed is, of course, the alerts. You can set up an alert system, have it play at a very annoying sound like that. And you can pretty much set an alert for every single type of category here, as you can see. So if there's a news on an offering, for all you fundamental guys out there, you want to hear one of those offering news if you're short a stock or something like that, or you want to get in. We've had a couple stocks halt intraday and release offerings midday, so it's this might have been useful. There's also other things you can add as well. Rumors, small caps, short sellers. I would assume that would be the Citron research kind of stuff that I mentioned earlier. Analyst upgrades, which is very useful as well, because usually when there's an analyst upgrade and the stock is sent in the direction against your trade, you might get stuck in a grind. So that's very, very critical as well to know that information. FDA approvals, pretty awesome stuff. So definitely with a live news feed, using alerts is very, very effective as well. It's a huge plus, and it's very helpful if you set them up correctly, and can help you find that extra edge. Now let's go ahead and talk about the cool stuff. So the squawk feature. So the squawk feature obviously is not going to be on right now because the market's closed. But during the regular market hours, there's a guy that's talking. Basically, he's reading the news live to you. So this allows you to pretty much watch the charts, watch the level 2, while some other guy is reading the news to you. So this is probably the huge selling point, and this was the reason why I tried them out and I stuck with them. They're very, very good with the news. They'll tell you about analyst upgrades. Again, it will help you avoid grinds. They'll tell you about stocks halting, be it for news or for circuit breakers. So if your scanner for some reason doesn't pick that up, this will pick it up for you. It'll tell you about option sweeps. So again, that's also another reason why stocks may grind. Maybe some institution loads up on calls or something and you're short, and then the stock starts grinding against you. That will help you determine whether or not you want to, get out or not before you get stuck in a really bad situation. And of course, I just read news in general. So things like offering news is pretty effective. Yesterday, when dries started squeezing, they alerted me about the buy-ins. A large amount of buy-ins, and so if you're looking to short dries and you hear something like that, it's probably not a good idea for you to start too early. So again, there's lots of ways that this thing can really, really help you. And again, if you nail just a couple of these alerts, or it saves you from a major loss, it more than pays for itself to have something like this. So again, before I was quite skeptical. Why should I pay extra for this? But once I realized how useful it really was and how it can really mitigate, some bad trades, and also at the same time get you into some really, really good trades, it more than pays for itself. And of course, earnings as well. They're pretty good in earnings. You'll see an example after hours today based on my Tesla after hours trade earnings, the earnings after hours trade, and you'll see the squawk in action. And the last feature that I want to talk about, and I won't be able to demonstrate it right now, unfortunately, but I will in a future video, is the news desk. And this is probably the biggest selling point, I would say, almost even more so than the squawk feature. The news desk feature is so awesome. So pretty much it's basically you have a guy that you can talk to at any time, and you can literally ask him anything and they'll answer you very, very quickly. So for example, if the stock is squeezing, you could literally ask him, hey, why is the stock squeezing? Why is ABC squeezing? You could also ask him about filings for all you fundamental guys out there. If you don't have time to look something up, if a stock is squeezing and you want to go short something, you can literally ask him, hey, does this stock have an existing shelf, ATM, warrants out, or whatever. They'll tell you. They'll even do things like call up the company or call up the CEO of the company and try to get an answer out of them or something like that too. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, the news desk is probably the thing that was most mind-blowing to me. I didn't even use it that much in the beginning. I was mainly using just a squawk feature, but then once I found out about the news desk, I use it a lot more often nowadays. And when you're lost about something and you can't seem to find the answer on Twitter in a reasonable amount of time, and you're like, I gotta figure out what's the catalyst of this move before the move was over and done with, you just go ahead and ask these guys, and they'll tell you pretty much right away whatever you need. It's pretty awesome. So next time I'll capture some of this stuff on video, and I'll definitely make another video showing you guys how effective it is and how it helps me with my trading. And I'll definitely make more videos of the squawk feature as well, especially if there's a situation where they alert maybe like a halt in an offering, or some really, really, really effective alert that really helps with especially some of the small cap stuff, and it shows you how crazy it is sometimes. So we'll save that for another time. So let's go ahead and talk about Tesla. So Tesla had earnings today. So I'll show you guys how I trade after hours earnings. And let me warn you guys, first of all, this type of after hours trading is very, very risky. And I do it at very, very small size. Sometimes I do it only like 10 or 20 shares. If I'm really, really comfortable, I might do like 100 or 200 shares or 250 shares. But it's very, very risky because it's very volatile. It's very, very thin. So you can get screwed and lose 10 points a share really, really quickly if you don't know what you're doing. So if you're new at this, either do very, very tiny size, I'm talking 10 shares or less, just to feel it out a little bit, or don't do it at all because it is very risky. So I got to be honest and upfront about that. But if you're really, really fast with the washout long strategy or the panic pop short, they're very, very similar, or similar to my tactical chase example on the SNGX video that I did a couple months back. If you guys haven't checked that out already, you'll see a link in the upper right hand corner of this video. But definitely it's very relevant, and that's why I'm able to do this, because they behave similarly. There's a washout long. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the Amazon example the other day, where Amazon tanked like $90 or something from the intraday high, perfectly hit $1,000 psychological and support level, and it bounced like 20 points. So I was able to get 20 points in like a minute off of that, which was pretty ridiculous. It looked exactly like a perfect washout long. As a matter of fact, it was the most perfect washout long that day. But overall, the reason why this works is because it behaves kind of similarly. So let's go ahead and talk about how I plan out this trade, and we'll go ahead and jump right into the video afterward. So the first thing I do is I look at the daily chart, and I look at the bigger picture support and resistance levels. And the reason why is because usually on earnings, these stocks are going to blow through pretty much all the intermediate support and resistance levels. They're going to make a big move, obviously, because earnings is big news for a stock and a company. So they're usually going to blow through maybe 2 or 3 support and resistance levels. If you draw too many lines based off of intraday support levels, you may just crowd your chart and you may just confuse yourself. So I end up just labeling the daily supports and resistances. So as you can see here, I have pretty much a support range here between 290 and 300. 300 being a pretty key psychological level as well. You also have the recent high here at 348. Also may want to make a note of this wick here at 340, and also obviously 370, and the all-time highs at 386.99. So these are the levels you want to keep an eye on. And the second thing you want to look at is typically on earnings, how does Tesla behave? So you can kind of see right here on May the 3rd rather, you can see that Tesla had about like a $30 range here between the day before and the day after. $30 range, give or take. The earnings before that, it had about, give or take about $30 range as well. And before that, you had a $15 range. So give or take, using our calculator, it's about, I believe, a 5 to 6% range. 6-7% range, give or take. $30. Yeah, around there, 8%. So typically Tesla is gonna move around 5, 6, 7, 8%. Okay, so understanding that information, so the last time it moved $30, it was around a $300 stock. It's still around a $300 stock. I'm gonna pretty much think that it's gonna move between around $30 or $40 this time around as well. So it's probably gonna move, if it's closes at 325, it's probably gonna move either $15 to $20 up or $15 to $20 down. So I'm expecting this thing to probably make a move toward 300, 305. So 325 minus 20 is 305. So that's pretty close to 300, give or take. So 300 to 310. Also be aware of that 290 support level below 300 in case it blows through that. And about $15 to $20 above that will be perfectly lined up with the 340 and 345-ish resistance level. So I'm expecting this stock to either dumps toward 300 or basically rip towards 345, 350. So let's pick some easy numbers, 300 to 350, right? All right, so you guys can see right here that Tesla is starting to speed up a little bit. Again, one of two things can happen. This thing's going to probably skyrocket toward the 340, 350 area, or it's going to tank toward 300. So noticing the upward momentum, I'm going to buy a couple shares here, and if it were to tank, I'll dump it really quick and then go short and then try to cover in the low 300s. Now, getting in here is a tactical chase, again, like my SNGX video, noticing the tape speed up a little bit. I'm trying to get the quick move toward 340, 345, 350, and based off of the Benzinga squawk news that I'm getting, if they release good earnings, then probably the move is going to be sustained, and I'm going to be able to safely hold on to the position for a couple extra seconds or minutes. So let's go ahead and see what happens.
TSLA Tesla share is getting another pop here. 331 of 511, Tango Sandy Lima Alpha.
So you can see me try to fill 250 shares, and I only fill 39 shares, unfortunately. But you'll still see me make a good couple $100 off 39 shares. Not too bad. It would have been nice to make the 250 shares, but it is what it is.
Tesla now spiking here.
And I also want to make a note that I'm using a 1-hour chart and a daily chart because, again, I want to look at the big picture moves, the big picture supports and resistances. Intraday supports and resistances, I wouldn't say they were completely irrelevant, but they're probably going to blow right through them because of the nature of the way these things trade during earnings. They make big moves. So I'm using a 1 hour chart so I can see the big picture supports and resistances a little bit better, as well as a daily chart.
$3.39 on Tesla. Tesla, 55 cents.
All right, so you hear the squawk guy actually say Tesla 55 cents. So what does that mean? So obviously before trading any sort of earnings, you should be aware of the street estimates. So Tesla obviously, they obviously had, let's check out what the estimates were. The estimates, they were expecting to lose about $1.76, but they reported they were expected to lose $1.76 earnings per share of a negative $1.76. But it actually reported $1.33, so they beat it by 29.8%, which is pretty good. So that's basically what the guy was saying. He might have had like maybe a little bit of a discrepancy in his numbers. He said 55 cents, but basically he basically meant that Tesla beat EPS estimates by 55 cents. So at that point, I knew that Tesla had beaten the earnings per share estimates. Now, the second thing you want to make a note of is obviously the revenue estimates. Did Tesla beat that? And eventually also the guidance. But you can see here based on the tape.
Tesla says on Model 3 production on track to achieve previously announced targets. At more than $3 billion cash on hand at the end of Q2, expecting positive Model 3 gross margin.
You see the 335 little bit prop right there. I just want to mention that. So this stock is not giving up its gains.
And Q4 targeting 25% margin in 2018. A loss.
And you can see me sell already. Quick 10 points, only 39 shares, $393. So basically this is a combination of a couple of things. Obviously you need to do the research and be aware of the street estimates, so that way when the guy's reading to you the earnings report, you have a reference and you know exactly what numbers to look for. Secondly, obviously you need to plot the supports and resistance levels and know where the stock is likely to gravitate toward. And obviously you also need to check to see how the stock behaves and tends to behave in the past during earnings reports. So obviously last time Tesla made about a $30 move, $30 range. So I'm expecting give or take the same thing this time around as well. So that's basically a $15 move in either direction after the close. So overall, Tesla got its move. It's moving toward 340. Took the quick $10 per share gain. Quick scalp. And that's pretty much it, guys. It's just doing a bunch of research, reading the tape, using the same principles as a washout long, tactical chase, panic pop short, and just scalping the quick move. And let's go ahead and just play the rest of this video for you guys.
$1.33 on Tesla. Revenue of $2.79 billion. The estimate was for a loss of $1.80 on Tesla.
So you hear him say that the revenue estimate was $1.80, or the EPS estimate was $1.80. So the reported earnings was 133. So that's probably where he got his numbers from. It's a little bit off there, but nonetheless, it was a beat on the earnings estimate.
Tesla says expect Model S and Model X deliveries to increase in the second half of 2017 versus the first half. Quarterly deliveries grew 53% versus Q2 2016 in flat luxury vehicle market. Combined non-GAAP gross margin for Model S and Model X in Q3 will decline slightly from Q2, driven primarily by mix shift. CapEx should be about $2 billion during H2. During the initial phase of the Model 3 ramp in Q3, the volume produced will be tiny relative to the installed production capacity. Plans to start production at Gigafactory 2 in Buffalo, New York before the end of the year. Although too early to draw strong conclusions, we are seeing an even further increase in net Model S orders since that July 28 event. That's TSLA Tesla. Shares hitting a high of $342.
And that's pretty much it, guys. Pretty simple stuff. Just using the information that you need, and then using the extra information from the news to tell you exactly where the stock's going to go, combine it with technical analysis as well, and you guys can make a pretty nice quick trade, small size, add a couple extra bucks to your day. So that being said, guys, next time we'll talk about more about how the squawk feature can be used in other situations. Like I said, it could be used intraday. When random news hits, you get alerted really quick on something. You either use it to help you get into a position or get out of position, depending on your situation. And also, I would like to demonstrate that live chat because it's one of the coolest things I've seen. So that being said, guys, check out Benzinga Pro when you get a chance. pro.benzinga.com is the website. So if you go to pro.benzinga.com, that's where you can find out more information about it. The promo code for all you loyal followers out there is Madaz25. That'll give you a 25% discount every single billing cycle. So that's MADAZ25. So take advantage of it, guys. It's another one of my gifts to you. So that being said, guys, check it out. We'll see you guys next time.